You know, when you hear the words Parkinson's disease, a certain image probably pops into your head, right? But what if I told you there's a whole other side to this story, one you might not have considered? A story that goes way beyond the symptoms we can see and into a reality that's a lot more complex and honestly a lot more hopeful. So let's explore that news story together. Wow, that is heavy. And you know what? That feeling, that raw fear, so many people feel that exact same way when they're first diagnosed. It's a terror that's been built up over decades, fueled by what we've seen in our own families and by a ton of outdated information. But here's the big question, the one we're going to dig into. What if that entire story, the one that creates all that fear, is just wrong? What if it's built on a foundation of misinformation? That's what we're here to do. Take apart that old narrative and build a new one based on what we actually know today. So, let's talk about that initial shock. For a lot of people, getting that diagnosis is like an atomic bomb going off in their life. It feels like this sudden, sharp drop-off, a cliff. Everything you thought you knew about your future just changes in an instant. And look, if you or someone you know has been through this, it's so important to hear this. That intense stress, it's completely normal. The sheer uncertainty of it all, the constant what-ifs, that's a huge weight to carry. And it just takes time to figure it all out. Okay, so where does all this fear even come from? Well, a lot of it comes from these old, stubborn myths about what Parkinson's actually is and what it means for you. So let's just jump right in and bust some of the biggest ones. All right, let's tackle the big one right out of the gate. The myth is that Parkinson's is a death sentence. But the reality? It's just not true. Yes, it's a progressive condition. Things will change over time, but people live with it and live well for decades. It's not the life-shortening sentence many people think it is. And this is such a critical distinction to make. People with Parkinson's don't typically die from Parkinson's itself. They die from complications that can arise, like pneumonia, which might happen because of swallowing difficulties. Once you understand that, the death sentence myth really starts to fall apart. Okay, myth number 2. When people think of Parkinson's, what do they picture? The shakes, right? The tremor is the classic symptom we all know. But here's the thing. That's just the tip of the iceberg. The biggest, toughest battles for people with Parkinson's are often completely invisible. All right, so we've cleared away some of that old, scary stuff. Now let's get to the good part. This is the turning point, the new reality that modern research is showing us. And honestly, this is where the story gets really interesting. Okay, check this out. This comes from the Parkinson's Outcomes Project, which is one of the biggest studies ever done on the disease. And what they found, it completely flips what we thought we knew on its head. The number one thing that destroys quality of life for people with Parkinson's, it's not the tremors, it's not the stiffness, it's depression and apathy, the invisible stuff. And get this, for over half the people with Parkinson's, this isn't just about feeling down because of a tough diagnosis. The depression is an actual physical symptom of the disease, caused by the same chemical changes in the brain that cause the motor symptoms. That tells you right there that the mental and emotional battle is at the absolute center of this thing. So really, when you boil it all down, the saddest truth about Parkinson's has been the misinformation. Believing those old myths, it leads you into what some call a vortex of apathy, this feeling that you're helpless, that you've lost all control, when nothing could be further from the truth. And to really understand this shift, you need a whole new way of thinking about the brain. The old view? It saw the brain as a broken machine, something that was just inevitably wearing out. But the new view? It's so much more hopeful. It sees the brain as a living garden, something that can be tended to, cultivated, and that has this incredible ability to adapt. So what does that even mean, a living garden? Well, it means your brain is not some fixed, rigid thing. It can literally create new connections, new neural pathways to work around the damaged parts. Scientists have a cool name for this, neuroplasticity. And this is the actual biological reason why your lifestyle choices, like exercise, can actively, physically change the course of the disease. And this idea, this science, it leads us to the most powerful part of this whole new story. You can take control. You can stop being just a patient and start being the main character, the protagonist of your own story. Now, let's be clear about medication. It is absolutely essential. It's a foundational piece of the puzzle for everyone with Parkinson's. But it's not a crutch. It's not meant to solve everything on its own. It's a tool. It's the thing that helps you get up and do all the other stuff that really makes a difference. So medication is pillar 1. But what about the others? Well, pillar 2 is exercise. Research is clear. At least 2.5 hours a week can actually slow the decline. Pillar 3 is your mindset and mental health, actively fighting that apathy and depression. And pillar 4, and this is a big one, is building your team. You can't do this alone. And listen, this isn't just some feel-good idea. This stuff works. The research shows that by focusing on these pillars, it's possible to cut symptoms by up to 40% and significantly slow down how fast the condition progresses. You have way more control than the old story ever wanted you to believe. So when you put all of this together, what do you get? You get a total reframing of what this diagnosis means. It is not a sentence that's been passed down on you. It's a condition. There's this fantastic quote from Alexander Reed that just nails it. He says, "To a scientist, it's a disease, but to us, it's a condition, a new set of circumstances that we are going to learn to manage together." That one little word change from disease to condition is everything. A disease happens to you. A condition is something you manage. Because at the end of the day, the real secret to living well with Parkinson's isn't about mourning the life you had before. And it's not about being terrified of the future. It's about today. It's about managing what's in front of you and squeezing every last drop of good out of the present moment. So I guess I'll just leave you with this final question. Parkinson's, yeah, it changes a life, no doubt about it. But does it have to erase the story? Does it have to take away your voice? The new reality, the one we've just talked about, it tells us that the answer is a clear, confident, and hopeful no. You are still the author.